Call the Paulding County Board of Commissioners July the 9th work session to order. And just thank you all for being here. I don't see any elected officials. Brian, if you'd bring the sign-up sheet. If you've got a phone still turned on like I do, you get time to silence that. And we are very excited today to have Pastor Wayne Strickland with us from Bethany Christian Church to bring us our invocation and lead us in the pledge of the flag. Stand if you're able.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, God, we come before you this morning, God. We seek your guidance. We ask that you would lead us in the right direction, God, that we would follow your guidance. God, we seek your wisdom. God, I pray that we would make the right decisions daily, and that we would make those decisions according to your will, God, and in the best interest of the people that live in this county. God, we ask for your continued protection for those who live here, those who work here, those who play here. And God, we want to thank you for those who serve. We want to thank you for those who protect us, those who put their life on the lines for us. God, we thank you for the freedoms that we have in this great nation, in this state, and in this county. God, we want to thank you for those that you have put into position, and I just pray for them daily, God. I pray that you would protect them. I pray that you would guide them. I pray that you would direct them. And God, I pray that we would always see things with your eyes, God. We would always see where there's a need, where there's a hurt, and that you would just allow us to see those things and direct us to action. And God, we ask all this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Strickland, thank you so much for being here. We do appreciate it. Appreciate you. Hope everyone had a great 4th of July, favorite vacations, and we do have some minutes from June 25th, 2019. The work session minutes and also the board meeting minutes. And the June 26th Sandy Caker Town Hall meeting minutes are available for review. On our Positively Paulding this morning, we've got a special compilation of different events that have happened around the county, so let's enjoy that together. The Paulding County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing for the tax increase on July 23rd at 9 a.m. And July 23rd also at 6 p.m. and on August the 13th at 9 a.m. These public hearings must, by policy, be separate from the regular work sessions or meetings of the board. And then a budget hearing, which sounds like something that's the same, but it is expressed differently and explained differently. The budget hearing will be held during the work session on July 23rd at 10 a.m. Ms. Deidre Holden asked me to announce that if you're interested in being a poll worker, there's a poll worker meet and greet on August the 13th at 2019, of course, at 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here in this building, the administrative building. And you can actually get paid to be a poll worker and serve your county at the same time. So if you're interested in that and watching on TV or in here, please mark that date. We have no invited guests this morning under Bid Awards. We're going to award the Harmony Grove Church Road Curve Realignment Project to the lowest responsible bidder Bartow Paving Incorporated in the amount of $469,189.33. And to present is Ms. Pollard and Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
On June 14th, we opened bids, had 2 participants for the Harmony Grove Church Road project to realign 2 curves, and we received 2 bids, and we're recommending award to the lowest bid, Bartow Paving, in the amount of $469,189.33.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me give you a little background on the project itself. Harmony Grove Church Road is a 2-lane undivided roadway in the north section of the county. This section of roadway has approximately 6,000 vehicles per day when school's in session. The traffic on Harmony Grove Church Road south of Bob Grogan Drive has increased dramatically over the past 10-plus years, particularly with the Burnt Hickory Elementary, McClure Middle, and North Paulding High Schools once those were opened. The project location itself is between Bentley Station Drive and Hickory Point Drive in the Crowville community. We wanted to do something for Crowville since they've been a long-time community with not a whole lot of recognition. So. Harmony Grove Church Road itself is posted for a speed limit of 35 miles per hour, where in the curvature for this road is approximately 25 miles per hour. There's been 6 documented runoff road crashes in this project location area over the past 2 years. The project itself will, redesign the curvature so it'll meet a design speed of 35 miles an hour, which is the posted speed limit. Our current SPLOST list has $1.2 million allocated towards roadway improvements on Harmony Grove Church Road, and so the money for this will come from SPLOST. And we also have additional funds allocated to future projects, probably curve realignment projects on different portions of Harmony Grove Church Road, and this will just be the first one as part of that list. We're hopeful that the realignment will reduce the number and severity of crashes that have occurred on this curve location. As previously discussed, Bartow Paving was the low bidder with a bid cost of $469,189.33. The completion time for the project is 6 months from the notice to proceed being signed. I've talked with the project estimator for Bartow Paving. They plan on working on the new sections of road first and then tie into the existing. So hopefully we will also be able to work with the school calendar and make sure that the disruptions to traffic are minimal. I think that's about it. So if you have any other questions or concerns, I'm available to answer questions.
Will they work during school transportation hours?
Yes, they'll, hopefully they'll be working, on the areas off the road right now, and we'll make sure that the disruptions are minimal. We don't want lane closures and lane shutdowns when school is in terms of entering or exiting the school time. So we'll make sure that that is held to a minimum. Like, say, during 11 o'clock, there's as much traffic as there is in the AM peak hour or the PM school peak hour.
Other questions? Thanks so much, George.
Thank you.
We have a couple of great reports this morning. Mr. Kelly Comstock with Brown & Caldwell is going to give us an update on Richland Creek Reservoir Water Supply Program. Thank you for being here, Kelly.
Thank you, Commissioners. It's an honor to be here today and give you an update on the Richland Creek Water Supply Program. Today I wanted to step through progress for each of the different areas. Sorry about that. Let's skip this up there. Great, good. If you recall the last quarterly update we gave to the board, we were facing some challenges at the river. The Corps of Engineers was dealing with the tremendous amount of rain by releasing a tremendous amount of water. We saw historic levels within that section of the Etowah River, and it was impacting our site. This was a picture of it at 14-foot stage. It actually went up close to 18-foot ultimately. But good news, this is how the site looks today. So we've basically completed all of the work to bring the grade up to final excavation, or the final grade, the excavation up to final grade. We've completed all the work at the bank, so we are no longer influenced at all by whatever the Corps does within the river. We're at a sufficient elevation to be above any potential impact. We've made a lot of great progress out there. We've completed the backfill. We've completed placement of walls within the wet well structure, And we finished all of the piles. These are auger cast piles that go down up to 240 feet was the deepest one that actually went down underground to provide a stable structure from bedrock all the way up to the building itself. That completes the final subsurface work associated with the total program. So there's no more rock or piles or anything associated with the program that will be taking place. This frees the contractor up to begin work on the building itself, and will move very quickly coming up to final completion. Water treatment plant has made tremendous progress over this last quarter. You can see it's really taking shape. They've done sort of final seeding and grassing around the site. It's taken very well. They've done paving around the site, and basically all of the structures are nearing completion. We're doing finishing work like painting, final door installation, flooring installation, preparing for furniture to be installed at the facility. Completing installation and startup of all of the mechanical systems, the process equipment, the pumps, as well as the building HVAC systems. As I mentioned, we did complete paving around the site, and right now the big focus is on getting all the electrical systems up and going and getting all the controls so that everything works properly. We anticipate the county would start bringing staff on later this summer so that they could come up to speed with the equipment, so that when the plant starts the commissioning process, they're fully trained in being able to bring the plant online. One of the other major structures is the reservoir intake. This is the structure that pulls water out of the reservoir and pumps it into the water treatment plant. We have placed the pumps within that structure, and they're in the process of getting those configured for startup. There are 3 pumps, and each one of those can pump 9 million gallons a day, and that's close to what your current capacity is, or what your current demand as a county is right now. So you've got 3 pumps initially. 18 million gallons a day will be the treatment capacity, and then we have 1 spare as a standby. We've continued the electrical and control system installation and done fencing and security around that structure so that it's getting ready. And then the dam is really taken shape over the last quarter. We've made tremendous progress. We're now 90% complete. If you recall, there's about 2.5 million cubic yards of soil that is going into this embankment, and we've done 2.3 million cubic yards so far. So we've got about 250,000 cubic yards. We anticipate that being able to be done within the next month and a half to 2 months. We're finalizing the work on the primary outlet structure. This is the structure that if you ever needed to drain the reservoir, you could, or if there ever was an overflow event, water would go through the top of this and down through a pipe in the center. It also allows for the continuous release of water downstream into Richland Creek. So the contractor's building a bridge out to that right now. They did put the gate in place as well. The one contract that's still to be done, if you recall, is the timber harvest, and that's the remaining area of the pool of the reservoir. We didn't want to do that until the very end, because if we cleared that entire 300 acres every time it rained, we'd be dealing with a lot more silt than we even have to deal with. So we're at the point right now where it's going to take a couple months for that to happen, and we're getting close to the point where we're going to start filling the reservoir. So we have issued an RFP for that, and that'll be coming in the end of this week, and so it'll likely come to the board at your next commission meeting. The finished water pipeline project is the final project, and the first phase of that is complete. I'm happy to say that's all of the work. That's 11 miles. It goes from the plant along Highway 61 all the way to Walraven. So once again, really appreciate the public's working with us in this. We recognize there was a lot of diversions and temporary red light shutdowns that had to take place to allow the work to take place safely and protect the contractors and the people and the general public that are driving by the excavation. All that work is done. It looks great. It looks better than before in terms of the sight line along Highway 61. The Phase 2 pipeline that goes from Walraven here to the Watson complex, that's going well. We've completed close to 5,000 feet, so we're approaching 50% of that pipeline, and we've completed 7 of the 9 bores. And if you see right out here on Highway 278, they're working on one of those bores. They're boring underneath Highway 278. And we've also begun construction of the booster pump station. That'll get constructed over the next couple of months, and that's in the parking lot of the Wellstar complex that's down by the DDS building. So if you drive over there, you can sort of see that construction that's ongoing. So that's a brief update for all of the projects. When we look at schedule on when we anticipate everything coming online, the raw water pipeline that goes from the intake to the reservoir is complete. We anticipate the water plant being complete in August. The dam, we're looking at September timeframe for that being complete. The Etowah River pump station will be early December. At that point, we'll be able to start pumping into and filling the dam itself, or filling the reservoir itself. And we're tracking the finished water pipeline to be complete in the September timeframe. So we're still on track to being able to fill the reservoir by the end of this year. We did have in the past quarter, we did have a great tour of the facilities. We had 85 people come out and take different tours of the water treatment plant, the reservoir intake, and the dam. We videoed that and we put it on the website, so you can go there and take the virtual tour and see. I think it's about 10 or 12 minutes, and you can see all the construction and everything that's happening. So if you didn't have an opportunity to take part in that tour and you wanted to see what was talked about, please go to rcrwater.com and take the virtual tour. We are looking to do another tour probably late this year. Definitely when we're starting to pump, we think that that'll be a momentous occasion when the reservoir starts to get filling. It's a very neat overlook spot where the water is going to be cascading into the reservoir, so we definitely want to have a public outreach event at that time. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Are you a North Carolina fan of the Blue Roofs?
I am not. that is typically what is done at a water plant. If you talk to most utilities, they like the color blue associated with water. So I would say 9 times out of 10, when an owner picks the color of a roofing system at a water plant, it's typically blue.
Thank you, Kelly. Great report. And we have Ms. Lippmann, who's going to come forward and actually talk to us about 2 things: the update on permits and licenses, and also something that she's taken the lead on and been involved in, ordinance changes and development of ordinances and that update process. Ann, thank you.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. This quarterly report of building permits and business license, the majority of this report is done in fiscal year, so it wraps up fiscal year 19. If you look at the first slide, this is the total number of building permits that were issued. We were at 5,915, which was slightly less than last year. It was about 66 permits less than last year. Our next slide is the total inspections per month, and that number is also a little less than last year based on the fewer number of permits that were issued. The next slide shows the number of new residential and non-residential permits issued going back to fiscal year 2013. You can tell in everything there's been generally a trend upwards. But from 18 to 19, the single-family residential permits went down, but I'm happy to report that non-residential increased by about a little over 30. This next slide, and I think this shows a lot about the value of permits. This slide shows the value of the non-residential versus single-family permits that were issued. I will point out a few things. In fiscal year 13 was that when the permits for the hospital were issued. Fiscal year 2017 were when the permits for Richland Creek Reservoir were issued, and fiscal year 19 is when we issued the permits for the Paulding County Adult Detention and Law Enforcement Center. So, I mean, it is interesting if you go back and you look at how many more permits were, but then you look at the value, and the value of commercial property is much higher than residential property. I always like to compare the permits issued in all the posts. Post 4 continues to be the winner since 2010. About 60% of permits have been issued in Post 4. But in the past 2 years, that balance is equalizing. If you look at the permits issued in fiscal year, or actually this goes to calendar year 19, Post 4 is down to 46%, and the other 3 permits, Post 1 has 23%, and Post 2 and 3 are at 15 and 16% respectively. And if you were worried about this, this slide is from John Hunt's Market Watch. He's a real estate market analyst, and this slide shows the top 10 cities and their permits, and you can see there's a downward trend everywhere as far as permits go, and I couldn't have summarized it better. There's no cheap lots, and there's massive resale competition in the housing market. Each time I do this, I want to bring something a little different to you, and this is also from Market Watch. It's a quote from Robert Dietz, who is the National Association of Home Builders chief economist. The comment is, there's also been a start of shift to building smaller homes and townhomes. I'm bullish on townhomes over the next few years. They are a perfect bridge from renting to home ownership for first-time home buyers. A big reason why the permits are down, millennials aren't buying houses. They prefer to rent or live with their parents, and so they are just not buying houses. But I wanted to show sort of an increase in single-family attached permits that has occurred in the county in the past 2 years. As you can see, from 2012 to 2017, it was almost a negligible amount, but in 2018 and 19, that has spiked up, and over 75% of those permits are in the city of Hiram. And switching over to our business license, or our occupational taxes, the total for fiscal year 19, we had 667 new business license issued. As of yesterday, the total active permits or licenses we have is 3,121, and that split is still heavily based on home occupations. Right now, 72% of all the business licenses we have are home occupations. Looking at new businesses, business types that are issued in 2019, the number one category is service, followed by retail and construction. But I would like to point out that 32 of the new businesses, somewhere in their business type, refer to e-commerce. So I want you to remember that phrase, because that's going to come back in my next report. And just showing, again, with the majority of businesses being small or home occupations, 93% of those businesses have 0 to 5 employees. And now switching over, I hope you can read this. This is on the whiteboard. This is kind of the doodling we have from our meetings. And the most important phrase, the phrase that's been on there since we began this process in late April, is Paulding County is open for business. We began working with the Bentley firm, which is a law firm out of Marietta, specifically Fred Bentley Jr. and Linda Brunt in the end of April. A team of staff from community development, DOT, the water system, City of Hiram have been meeting every Thursday from 1 to 4. We also have 2 interns from KSU who are great note takers and researchers for us, and they are getting class credit at no cost to the county. And we've been working on a 3-pronged approach. We've been looking at 3 things. One is tools in the book. We have several books that if you want to develop a piece of property in Union City that you have to refer to. Just a few. We have a code of ordinances, zoning ordinance, development regulations, standard details, building codes, life safety codes, and I could go on. Our goal at the end of this process is to have what's called a unified development code. So if you want to build something in Paulding County, you have one book that you need to go to. We're never going to separate the code of, there's still going to be items in the code of ordinances, and I'm going to give Lori credit. The code of ordinances says you need to have a pipe. The development regulations say what kind of pipe and where that pipe goes. And that's never going to change. We're still going to have 2 ordinances and this unified development code, but we've been working to streamline those, and we've been looking, most times when we meet, we split into 2 groups. There's the development regulation side and the zoning ordinance side. And on the zoning ordinance side, we've been looking at definitions, new, like I said, everything with a focus on business, new commercial zoning districts, how to make getting a business open on the zoning side easier and faster. The second thing we've been looking at is the process. We've been looking at how work flows as to what happens when plans are submitted and how does the flow go. And if you'll see on our board, it's kind of in the middle, ready, get set, go. We've kind of ditched the get set. So we just want it to be called ready, set, go. So we want to have a 3-step process for how when somebody submits plans that you get ready, you get set, and then you go. And we want to make it as fast and streamlined as possible. The third element is really the economic development changes that you guys made to Paulding County Economic Development Inc. And once a new director is in place, we would certainly welcome them at the table to have their input. And remember I mentioned e-commerce. One of the things that we're really looking at, we're trying to be proactive. We're not just addressing the deficiencies, but we're trying to look to the future. I wish I'd put this slide on there, but in June of 18, the market value of Amazon was over $889 billion, whereas the market share of Walmart, Target, and other brick and mortar stores was $254 billion. So we are all changing how we're shopping. Everything is e-commerce. So we are looking, we're creating new definitions for things. We had a drawing of a food truck court on our thing and somebody erased that, but just trying to look to the future with new definitions and be in advance of what's coming. And so I would estimate that we're maybe about 25-30% done, but I would invite anybody on a Thursday to come in and join our meetings, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
The last time these was really reviewed was close to 20 years ago. So,
Probably the 90s.
I think 99,
Yeah.
the majority of them. So it's about time we come up to time. So thank you for all your hard work.
Could you tell Commissioner Stover what iDining is? Instead of e-dining, it's iDining.
I would have to, I don't want to misquote that. I believe Jody Palmer and Hiram wrote that definition, so I would have to, don't have that one off the top of my head. But it is, apparently there's a Kroger in Cartersville that is the place to be. They have a bar inside of it. And grocery stores where people go, if you look at our Walmart here, you're going to be able to take your pet, go to the dentist, get your hair cut, get a pedicure. You probably ordered your groceries online and you pick them up when you're all done. I think if you actually do go to the store, the way you shop has changed.
I've been to about half the meeting. It's a lot of fun to go in and see the progress that they're making, and Hiram's really heavily participated. They're always there, and Bentley does a good job. I think just bringing out the talent that we have. George is there a lot, Lori, IT's in there. Who did I miss?
I think that's it.
Great report.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
We have none of the public who have signed up for agenda items. We have no consent agenda items. We have no old business. Under new business, number 1 is discuss action to approve change order 6 to Arcadis US Inc. for additional services during construction, materials testing, and inspection services for the Richland Creek Dam project in the amount of $675,065. Funding will be offset from retainage withheld per the dam contract as a special damage assessment to the dam contractor that's not funny. Special damage assessment to the dam contractor for not achieving contracted schedule, and Ms. Ashmore and Mr. Comstock will enlighten us on this.
Mr. Comstock is going to present this.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. Arcadis and their subcontractor, Piedmont Geotechnical, they are the engineer of record, the safe dams engineer for the dam, and part of the requirement for a dam construction. We need to think of a different way to do this because this is starting to get funny. Part of the requirement for the embankment construction is that you need to have an engineer present monitoring and actually a team of people monitoring the material that's being used. So basically, as they excavate soil, the condition of that soil is only suitable to be used in different areas of the embankment. And so they basically make the call on the spot. They do all the materials testing. They look at the moisture content. They look at basically all the requirements of what's going in. So we have a team of 4 to 6 people that are out there full-time doing that throughout the construction period to make sure the embankment meets all the specified requirements. And that's required per the safe embankment, safe dams permit that's required for construction. Brad Cole Contractors is the contractor that's building the dam, and they had an original schedule that was per their contract. There was a lot of rain associated with the period. The contract had certain requirements in it for rain days, and when you take those requirements into consideration, they were contractually to meet their substantial completion date on December 14th of 2018. Due to early issues that they had in logistics and scheduling, it set them behind, and they did not make that up. So we're looking at end of August for them being to substantial completion. So there is that additional period of time that the engineer has to be present on site during that construction process. We can't just not inspect during that last 7 months of construction, obviously. So the way their contract is written is that if they did not meet their substantial completion deadline, they are responsible for two different forms of damages. A liquidated damage, which is to the county at the rate of $1,000 a day, so they will be assessed that, and special damages to cover engineering inspection. So they will be assessed that as well. And as this states, the county currently withholds retainage on their contract of 5%, so we've got about $2.5 million of retainage that's withheld. So they will just not be paid back all of that retainage to offset the special damages as well as the liquidated damages. So although this is additional services that the engineer has to pay for, it is basically neutral to the overall budget because it's less money that's going to be paid to the contractor to offset this. So the total is $675,065 associated with that for that team of inspectors from the December 18th period to the anticipated completion date that is the end of August. I tried to not say it too many times in there. So, any questions associated with it?
No, great report, good explanation.
Okay. All right. Thank you
sir.
very much. Yep.
Number 2 is discuss action to authorize the chairman to enter into an intergovernment agreement with the Paulding County Board of Education defining responsibilities and cost sharing for the construction of a right turn lane on Colbert Road between Abney Elementary School and Gullidge Road. Mr. George Jones.
Let me give you some background to the point where we got to needing the IGA. When county schools are in session, the driveway exiting Abney Elementary onto Colbert, particularly in the AM peak hour, experiences severe congestion just due to the amount of folks dropping off their kids to go to school. It's exacerbated by the fact there's only about 300 feet from the Colbert driveway at Abney to Gullidge Road. There's currently one westbound lane on Colbert Road from the Abney driveway to Gullidge. We modeled intersection operations, our traffic operations section did, with the addition of another westbound left turn lane or westbound lane on Colbert Road. The lane would serve traffic turning out of the Abney Elementary School and turning right onto Gullidge Road. The addition of the turn lane indicated an improved operation by reducing delays, particularly for that right turning traffic, which also helps the left turning traffic because cars aren't stacking up as much. The cost-benefit analysis indicated that the project was viable. We solicited 3 bids for the turn lane installation, and with negotiations, we're able to award the work to Butch Thompson Enterprises in the amount of $49,910. The work is to start this month and will be open by July 28th. The county portion of the work will be funded by SPLOST, and as part of the project itself, we'll be doing some work on Board of Education property, and the Board of Education has agreed to fund the work that's done on their property for this project. I'm assuming it'll be less than $10,000. As part of that work, we're requesting the Board of Education to enter an IGA with the county, which they agreed to. The IGA basically drafted the responsibilities between the county and the Board of Education for this project and the cost for that. I've been in communications with Superintendent Otat, and he's presenting this IGA to their board tonight for approval. And again, I'd like to thank our Traffic Operations Division, Engineering Division, and Construction Division for getting this project delivered on an expedited timetable. So.
George, I want to thank you for all the work you've done. you're gonna make a lot of parents out there happy. I got a lot of phone calls, and you know, you jumped on board, and I want to thank you. It's really a good project for not a whole lot of money, so thanks.
So thank you on behalf of the staff. Sure, appreciate it.
Great job, George.
Thank you.
Got a little alibi announcement here. If you want to see a few shovels stuck in the ground on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, it's on the west side of 92, kind of across from Pine Valley Road. I'm excited, and we'll be celebrating the groundbreaking for Graystone AMC's new headquarters. So if it's something you're very interested in and you'd like to join us for that, I think Commissioner Hart's going to sing the national anthem, or any other Proud to be American, or any of his favorites. Take request, okay. That's the conclusion of regular business. We have no executive session today. No one is signed up on non-agenda items. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion adjourned by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Stover. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.